Authorities in Victoria are working to determine the source of one new case not directly linked to existing exposure sites as the state's latest outbreak grows. 3 new cases have been recorded. 2 are primary close contacts who had been quarantining while infectious. Authorities still investigating the 3rd case, but say they're confident the crossover will become apparent. In good news, more than 20,000 vaccines have been delivered yesterday alone in that state, more than 116,000 over the past 8 days. The state's also announced a 5-day vaccine blitz to give aged care and disability workers priority access to getting a jab. Authorities now say it's a day-by-day proposition as to whether Victoria's lockdown is extended. Julia Bradley is in Melbourne for us now live. Julia, we also learnt today that Daniel Andrews is still involved in decision-making around the lockdown, although we're not seeing him daily like we did in the previous lockdowns. He's still at the table, so to speak.
Oh, that's right, Kieran. Our Health Minister told us at today's press conference that Daniel Andrews is being given daily briefings by the Acting Premier James Merlino. He said that there are no decisions that don't go past Daniel Andrews. Now, the last we heard from Daniel was about 6 weeks ago when he took to his Twitter page to update Victorians as to his progress. We know right now he's on sick leave due to a back injury. We were told that he'd be coming back to work in June. Today, June the 1st, but we don't have a date as to when he will return. Acting in his place, the Acting Premier James Merlino, he was nowhere to be seen on day 5 of day 7 of this lockdown. He wasn't there to answer reporter questions this morning. Is Daniel Andrews receiving daily briefings about Victoria's COVID status?
I believe so.
And who's giving those briefings?
The Acting Premier.
We were told that Daniel Andrews would be back at work in June. It's June today. Given that you've just confirmed that the Acting Premier is briefing him daily, when is he going to be back on deck?
As the Acting Premier made clear yesterday, the Premier released a statement in the not too distant past thanking Victorians for the warm wishes for his recovery and indicating that his recovery was progressing well and that he expected to be back in June.
Do we have a date yet? It is June.
Yes, today's the first day of June, and I'm pretty sure it goes for a few more weeks yet.
Now, Julia, were we given any indication today whether this lockdown, it's the question that's being asked all across the state at the moment, will it be extended or not?
Well, Kieran, all Victorians are wanting an answer to this. Our businesses certainly feeling the pinch right now, but no further indication from the state government today as to whether there would be an extension to this 7-day lockdown. Now, it really does depend on a range of things, not only the COVID cases that we're reporting every day, but really whether or not they can all be linked back to a cluster. So we have been told today that genomic testing has in fact linked all of these 54 cases associated with these 3 separate clusters. They've all been linked back to that wallet man who brought COVID into Victoria from hotel quarantine in South Australia, but it still remains unclear as to the source of 2 of these infections in the cluster. Concerningly, today we also heard from the COVID testing commander. He says we now have evidence of stranger-to-stranger transmission. His words were that people are becoming infected after just brushing past strangers with COVID. This is all down to just how infectious this Indian strain of COVID is, but certainly no reassurance for businesses that there wouldn't be an extension to lockdown.
It is still, in many ways, a rapidly evolving virus that is a real challenge. And I can't share with people what we have yet to land on through our public health teams.
If there are no mystery cases and the government is confident in that they can contact trace and they have got these cases ring-fenced and people are in their isolation and the government is following up, then surely that is the benchmark, if you like, for the health advice to say, we've got this under control, Victorians. We can ease restrictions.
So, Kieran, if the lockdown is extended, there's a possibility that we could see the reintroduction of a ring of steel, which would mean that regional areas wouldn't be under the same severe restrictions as Melbourne. Right now, there are no COVID cases in regional Victoria.